TikTok says it is stepping up its efforts to counter misinformation related to the war on its platform. The video sharing app says it's launching a command center to coordinate the work of what it calls safety professionals working around the world. It's also improving its software, which will automatically detect and remove graphic and violent content. Joining me now is Dr. Gail Saltz, a psychiatrist and host of the How Can I Help podcast. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Even if you don't have family or friends involved in this conflict, it is hard not to be affected by the images of what we've seen online. What do you say to people who are trying to manage their exposure to the conflict?
I think people have to, first of all, be very aware of who they are, know their mind. People who know they tend to get anxious or tend to get sad or upset or have a history of trauma or have a history of mental health issues should be on particular alert. Actually, you should be on particular alert because journalists are in a high-risk group. And that is because of how much exposure there is right now. So you're not only getting it from the regular news, you're getting it from your social media, you're getting it on a 24/7 basis. And these are more graphic images than probably we've ever seen before from a conflict. And so those images tend to stick in your mind, disturb you, make you anxious, feel as if you're closer to the danger. And that has an effect. It has an effect on your mental health all day. It makes it harder to go to sleep at night, which further affects your mental health. It makes it difficult to concentrate. It makes it difficult for you to take pleasure in things that you used to take pleasure in. So being on alert for that and really limiting your intake. And that means choose the morning to check in about news, not close to bedtime. Choose a source that you feel comfortable with, preferably maybe not a visual source. Read it, listen to it. Spend 30 minutes maybe updating yourself on what's going on, then turn it off.
And what about just a couple of things? Talking to friends and family, do you just say, you know what, maybe today we don't want to talk about it? Do you have to stand firm on that? And also, what should parents do when it comes to their children and what they're seeing?
Well, unfortunately, you can't pretend that children aren't aware of what's going on. So the most important thing is saying to them, what do you know? What have you heard? How do you feel about it? You can talk to me. I will be honest with you. You don't have to be fully graphic with your children. You should limit their social media exposure right now and don't have the news on in the background. Limit the exposure they're getting, but let them be able to talk to you about what they're seeing and hearing about so that you can correct misinformation, so that they know they can go to you if they're feeling a certain way about what they're hearing and seeing, so that you can reassure them that, if they're not there, they are safe. You and your family are safe, and they can better understand what's happening, why it's happening, and how to check in about their own mental health.
And when do you think it's time to reach out for professional help for this? When do you say to yourself, you know what, I need to talk to somebody like yourself?
Absolutely. When all of these things that I'm speaking about rise to the level that it interferes with your ability to concentrate during the day, such that you can't work the way that you normally would, such that you can't participate in things the way you normally would, such that it's affecting your relationships. And this is a big one because people are arguing about this stuff. People are, try to stay away from real doomsday people at this point. But if it's affecting your relationships and your work or your school life, if you're a child, then it is time to actually seek professional help, which psychotherapy can be extremely useful for, giving you other coping tools to deal with your anxiety, to look at whether, in fact, you're developing a particular kind of issue that requires a certain kind of therapy or even potential medication. But people can be doing things for themselves right now during the day, whether that's aerobic exercise or paced breathing or muscle relaxation, things to try to calm themselves and not immerse themselves in this media all the time.
Dr. Saltz, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Gail Saltz, psychiatrist and host of the How Can I Help podcast.